Good morning, everybody. It's actually after 12. It is Wednesday, October the 20th, 2021. We're almost through this month, 2 months. I mean, not very much time. Today's chapter is Acts chapter 14. Acts chapter 14. And hopefully today I'll have time to read some of the focus. Now, guys, I haven't pre-read this one. I'm just now reading it. Anyway, all right, here we go. At Iconium. Now, it happened in Iconium that they went together to the synagogue of the Jews, and so spoke that a great multitude both of the Jews and of the Greeks believed. But the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles and poisoned their minds against the brethren. Therefore they stayed there a long time, speaking boldly in the Lord, who was bearing witness to the word of his grace, granting signs and wonders to be done by their hands. But the multitude of the city was divided, part sided with the Jews and part with the apostles. And when a violent attempt was made by both the Gentiles and Jews, with their rulers, to abuse and stone them, they became aware of it and fled to Lystra, Lystra, and Derbe, Derbe, cities of Iconium, Lycaonia, and to the surrounding region. And they were preaching the gospel there. And in Lystra, Lystra, a certain man without strength in his feet was sitting, a cripple from his mother's womb, who had never walked. The man heard Paul speaking. Paul, observing him intently and seeing that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, "Stand up straight on your feet." And when he leaped and walked, stand up straight on your feet. And he leaped and walked. Now when the people saw what Paul had done, they raised their voices, saying in the Lycaonian, Lycaonian language, "The gods have come down to us in the likeness of men." And Barnabas they called Zeus, and Paul Hermes, Hermes, because he was the chief speaker. Then the priests of Zeus, Zeus, whose temple was in front of their city, brought oxen and garlands to the gate, intending to sacrifice with the multitudes. But when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard this, they tore their clothes and ran in among the multitude, crying out and saying, "Men, why are you doing these things? Why also are men with the same nature as you, and preach to you that you should turn from these useless things to the living God, who made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all things that are in them, who in bygone generations allowed all nations to walk in their own ways. Nevertheless, he did not leave himself without witness, in that he did good, gave us rain from heaven and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness." And with these sayings, they could scarcely restrain the multitudes from sacrificing to them. Then Jews from Antioch and Iconium came there, and having persuaded the multitudes, they stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing him to be dead. However, when the disciples gathered around him, he rose up and went into the city. And the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe, Derbe. And when they had preached the gospel that city and made many disciples, they returned to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch, strengthening the souls of the disciples, exhorting them to continue in the faith, and saying, "We must through many tribulations enter the kingdom of God." So when they had appointed elders in every church and prayed with fasting, they commended them to the Lord, in whom they had believed. And after they had passed through Pisidia, Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia, I don't know how to say that, Pamphylia. Now when they had preached the word in Perga, Perga, they went down to Attalia, Attalia. From there they sailed to Antioch, where they had been commended to the grace of God for the work which they had completed. Now when they had come and gathered the church together, they reported all that God had done with them, and that he had opened the door of faith to the Gentiles. So they stayed there a long time with the disciples. All right, so there's 3 focus sections. The first one is dealing with Perga, P-E-R-G-A, which is a city. And this is Acts chapter wait a minute. Wait, I'm doing the wrong one. Sorry, guys. No, Iconium, Acts 14:1. This is a city as well. Capital of the Roman province of Lycaonia, Lycaonia, in Central Asia Minor, largely Greek. The city was at one time named Iconium, Claudiconium, reflecting privileges conferred by Emperor Claudius, Claudius. Several major routes led to and from this important crossroads, west to Antioch and Ephesus, south to Lystra and Derbe. Bordering a large plateau, Iconium was well watered and fertile. It prospered from wheat fields and apricot and plum orchards. The Iconium church may have been the first to read Paul's letter to the Galatians, as well as the first letter of Peter, known today as Konya, Kony, in Turkey. All right, and then the other one is Lystra, and that's dealing with Acts chapter 14, verse 8. It's an obscure town on the plains of Lycaonia, Lycaonia, in Central Asia Minor, about 45 miles from the Mediterranean. Only 25 miles from Iconium, but closer to Derbe, Derbe, in its politics and Roman culture. A Roman road system, the Via Sebaste, VIA space SEBASTE, connected Lystra, Iconium, Derbe, and other regional cities. And then Derbe is Acts chapter 14, verse 20. A city in the southeastern part of Roman province of Lycaonia, now believed to be the unexcavated site of Kertis, Kerti, Huyuk, I guess, Huy, UK, and South Central Asia Minor, politically and culturally allied with Lystra in the Roman province of Galatia, home of Gaius, Gaius, traveling companion of Paul. Surviving inscriptions suggest a succession of bishops in Derbe. One of them, Daphnis, Daphnus, was present at the Council of Constantinople, Constantinople, in AD 381. Paul's efforts in this little town apparently were not in vain. Let's see. And there's one more. Attalia, Attalia, Acts chapter 14, verse 25. Key seaport on the coast of Pamphylia, Pamphylia, in South Central Asia Minor, serving Perga, the regional capital, east 8 miles inland. Archaeologists have found evidence of a double wall on ancient aqueduct and a triple gateway constructed under the reign of Hadrian, Hadrian, who visited in AD 130. Alternately conquered by Turks and Europeans during the Crusades. Known today as Adalia, Adalia, and in parentheses, Antalya. This major seaport on Turkey's Gulf of Adalia is the Turkish Riviera, with tourism as its major industry. Alrighty, guys. Everybody have a blessed Wednesday. And may God's peace and grace be with each of you. All right. Love y'all. Bye-bye.